Hello everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. So come to a comfortable seat. You can join me in easy pose or whatever feels good for your body. If you are in easy pose and you find your knees flaring up towards the ceiling, I highly recommend to grab a folded blanket like I have here, or a block or a cushion and sit on it. It creates some space for you to sit nice and tall, and it lowers the knees, helping you elongate your spine, opening your chest. So once you find your comfortable seat, soften your gaze or close your eyes and take a moment to arrive on your mat and observe your breath. Notice your body, both your physical body and your energetic bodies, and simply observe. Today, we will welcome the opening of our hearts, inviting in love, compassion, and gratitude. The heart chakra is also known as Anahata in Sanskrit. This translates to unstuck or unhurt. It suggests a state of inner resilience where one's true essence and love remain unaffected by external circumstances or emotional wounds. It is also the fourth chakra and sits at the center of the body's energy system, right in the center of the chest where your heart is. It's the bridge between the lower chakras, which focus on survival and personal power, and the upper chakras associated with higher consciousness and spirituality. So physically, the heart chakra governs our ability to our lungs and circulatory system. So physically, our heart chakra governs the heart, the lungs, the circulatory system. Energetically, it governs our ability to give and receive love unconditionally. When balanced, it promotes inner peace and harmonious relationships. During your practice today, remember that our hearts are not only the center of our emotional selves, but also our connection to others and the world around us. As you move through each pose, allow your breath to guide you, creating a sense of openness, allowing you to release any tension or resistance. Now is a good time to set an intention for your practice. It could be to cultivate more self-love, to connect more deeply with others, or nurture gratitude for all things, big and small. So as you remain in your comfortable seat, connect back to your breath, lengthening the spine, sitting as if there's a string at the crown of your head that's being pulled, lifting you up from the crown. And on your next exhale, tilting your head to the right, taking the right fingertips and applying gentle pressure, finding some length in the left side of the neck, taking the left arm, stretching it long. Inhale, lengthening the spine, and then exhale, allowing that stretch to go a little deeper. Maybe taking that left arm behind your back for a half bind, finding even more lengthening in the neck here. Just move with your breath, or lengthen it with your breath, I should say. And gently release, bringing the head through center, and then the other side. Taking the fingertips, gently applying pressure around the temple area. Breathing deeply, lengthening that right arm long, finding length in the right side of the neck here. Maybe on your next exhale, go for the half bind with that right arm if you did it on the other side, finding a little bit more length. And gently release. Let's take the head and Tilt it down and find the fingertips on the back of the skull. Again, just gently pushing forward and down, stretching out the back of the neck and the spine here. And gently release. Inhale, hands up overhead. Exhale to the right, reaching with the left arm, left bicep towards left ear. Inhale, lengthen the spine, opening the heart to the ceiling here. Connecting back to the breath. On your next inhale, back to center, reaching for the ceiling. And then exhale to your left, right bicep by the right ear. And again, on the inhale, find that length and a slight twist to the sky, opening the chest and the rib cage on the right side. And then inhale back to center, reaching again overhead. And then exhaling, twisting to your right. Left hand finds that right knee to help you twist it a little bit more. On the inhale, lengthen the spine. And then exhale, deepening that twist. On your next inhale, back to center. Again, reaching nice and tall overhead. And then exhale, twisting to that left side. Opposite hand finds that knee. Inhale, lengthening. And exhale, wringing out those internal organs as you deepen that twist. This is a great detoxifying move here. Wringing out all those internal organs. That's why it's important we drink water after yoga. And then inhale, back to center, reaching up. And exhale, release. I'm going to remove my cushion, and you can meet me in tabletop. So from here, our wrists are directly below our shoulders, our knees are directly below our hips, and we're going to do some cat-cows. Inhale, lifting the head and tail, allowing the navel to lower. And then exhale, rounding out the back, head and tail point down. Inhale, head and tail up. And then exhale, rounding out the back. Continue to move with your breath here, finding your own cadence. It may be faster or slower than mine. Maybe inviting some bilateral movements, hips and shoulders, rocking forward and back, giving the wrists a nice stretch. Whatever you need here, finding freedom in this pose. And just take a moment to commit to allowing your breath to continue to guide you through your practice today. And then when you feel complete here, coming back to a neutral spine, tucking the toes underneath, and then rolling back maybe into a squat as we work our way to standing. Maybe rocking on the balls of the feet, finding a stretch in the back of the calves. And then gently standing all the way up and finding yourself at the front of your mats. We'll do a couple of sun salutations just to get our body nice and warm before we begin our sequence today. Inhale the hands up overhead, palms together. Exhale, fold at the waist, slicing the air in front of you as you bend all the way down. Putting a bend in the knees if you'd like. And then maybe taking a moment to bend the left and right knee, one at a time. Fingertips maybe on the thighs, on the shins, or on the floor. Whatever's comfortable for you. Grounding in the feet, spreading the toes nice and wide. Inhale, lift halfway. And then exhale, planting the hands on your mat and stepping back to a plank. Finding length in the entire body, from the heels all the way out the crown of the head, remembering that the head is an extension of the spine here. You're more than welcome to lower the knees in your plank for added support. Take a nice cleansing inhale, and on your exhale, slowly lower all the way down to your belly, lengthening the legs, engaging the glutes and the thighs, and then inhale up to your cobra. Shoulders are away from the ears. On your exhale, tucking the toes under, lifting the tail up and back for downward dog. Take a minute here to pedal the feet or walk your dog. Again, maybe some bilateral movements in the hips. Just finding freedom here, giving your body what it needs to get warm. Then take a minute to organize your grip, spreading the fingertips nice and wide, digging in with all 10 finger paths and the top of the palm, the knuckles just underneath the fingers, and then the bottom of the palm. From this grip, press firmly away from the ground, pressing it away from you as strongly as you can. And then from here, put a bend in the knee, lift the tail all the way to the ceiling, and create a long line of energy or strength from the tail that shoots out the crown. And then from here, begin to lower the heels. They may or may not touch. That's okay. And breathe. Connect back to your breath and this nice, strong downward dog. On your next exhale, come to the tiptoes. Tiptoe, walk, or hop to the front of your mat. Inhale, lifting halfway. Lengthening through the crown of the head. Exhale, fold. And then inhale all the way up. Hands overhead. We'll do that one more time, a little bit faster. Exhale, folding at the waist, all the way down for forward fold. Inhale, lengthen, reaching out the crown. Exhale, planting the hands on the mat, stepping back to your plank. Take an inhale here, and on the exhale, lower down to your belly or chaturanga, and then inhale to cobra or up dog. Exhale, tucking the toes, shooting the hips up and back for downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here. Organizing the pose, pushing the ground firmly away, lengthening from tail to crown. And then on your exhale, coming to the tiptoes, tiptoeing, walking, or floating to the front of your mat. And then on the inhale, we'll slowly roll up one vertebra at a time. And come to our mountain pose. Take a few breaths here. And just notice the body, how you're feeling after a bit of movement. And go ahead and come to your knees. We're going to do some gate pose variations here. So let's start by finding length in our spine. I'm taking my hands on top of my hip bones here and pressing down. And as I press down, I'm inhaling and lifting the chest, lengthening the spine. And once I find that length, I'm going to spread my arms wide so they're parallel to the floor and shoot my right leg out. And then from here, inhale, lengthening the spine. And as I exhale, I'm going to do gate pose as I slide my hand down my right leg and reach the left hand over. My bicep goes towards my ear. And again, lifting the chest towards the ceiling instead of coming down over the leg. Take a few rounds of breath here. And on your next inhale, come up through center. And then bring the left hand down to the mat directly below the shoulder, reaching the right arm over the bicep. Finding a long line of energy from the fingertips all the way to the tips of the toes on that right side, taking up as much space as you can here. Inhale, back up through center. Exhale, we'll do another gate pose on our right. Inhale through center, and then exhale, bringing that left arm down, taking the right arm, reaching it towards the sky, lengthening the spine on an inhale, and then maybe lifting that right leg. This is a variation of half moon pose. And if it's available to you, maybe bending that knee and finding the foot, and then pressing and kicking the foot into the hand. And this is a variation of candy cane pose. And as we're here, whether you're grabbing your foot or just finding length, opening the heart space, breathing in, connecting to the breath, feeling that expansion you're creating here. And gently release the foot back down, come through center, and we'll come back to both knees again. We'll do the same thing on the other side, starting with hands on hips, pressing the hips. We ground in, inhale, lengthen the spine, finding that grounding energy we receive from the earth. And popping our left leg out, making our arms parallel to the floor. And on an exhale, reaching down the left leg as the right arm comes over right bicep to right ear. Taking a few rounds of breath here. And again, instead of going down towards the leg, we're opening the chest towards the sky. And on your next inhale, gently come back to center. Taking the right arm down to the ground, reaching the left nice and long, finding length from those fingertips all the way to the tips of the toes. Big move here. And then on your next exhale, cinching in the corset of the rib cage, using that abdominal strength to come back to center. And then over one more time to the right, opening the chest. And on an inhale, coming back up through center, planting the right arm down, reaching the left arm for the ceiling. Take a breath here, lengthening the spine. And then maybe lifting that leg on the left side up. Toe is flexed. And if this is available, maybe bending that knee, finding the top of the foot with the hand and pressing into that hand, creating a big, open, expansive pose here. Connecting to your breath. Opening the chest. And gently release the foot back down. Come through center. And knees together. Beautiful. So let's go ahead and turn long ways on our mats. And we'll just pass through tabletop. And again, notice your grip. Grip down with all 10 finger pads only. Try it just doing the 10 finger pads by themselves. And then from here, go to the knuckles at the top of the palm. And then press down the bottom of the palm. Your grip should be nice and wide and feel really strong here. And then from here, we'll curl the toes and press the tail up and back for your downward dog. Take a few breaths here, pressing the ground firmly away, just reaching the tail to the ceiling, finding that strong downward dog pose. We're going to inhale the right leg up and back, keeping the toe flexed, hips square to the mat, and then exhale knee to nose as we shift forward into a plank. And then inhale that foot up and back. And then exhale, knee to nose, just passing through as we step into our front hands. Grounding in that back heel on our left side, rooting in our feet, and coming up to standing in our warrior two pose. So our shoulders are directly above our hips. Instead of leaning forward here, we're nice and tall. The heel of our front foot is in line with the arch of our back foot. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, sinking into that front knee a little bit more. Back leg is strong. You want to make sure the knee is directly over the ankle or behind, never in front. Protect our knees. Take a few rounds of breath here. Your arms are strong. Shoulder blades are squeezing together on the spine. Feeling your warrior pose nice and strong. And then we'll flip that front right hand and high five the wall behind us as our left hand slides down the back of our left leg for reverse warrior. Take a few rounds of breath here, feeling the expansion in the right side body. Again, the chest is open and expanding. And we'll release back to center, squeezing the shoulder blades together nice and strong. On your inhale, straighten that front leg. And then exhale, now we're gonna reach as far as we can with that right hand, keeping the spine nice and straight. And then allow that hand to fall on the shin. Maybe it's at your ankle or the floor for triangle pose. Again, keeping the chest open, the spine is long. This pose is not about touching the floor. We don't want to curl our spine just to get to the floor. I would encourage you to come up a little bit more on your shin to find that length in the spine here. And breathe, connecting back to the breath. And putting a micro bend in that front knee, bringing the hands to either side. Lengthen the spine, and then exhale, folding over that leg. If you have blocks, this is a great place to use blocks on the medium setting or high setting here to help bring the ground closer to you. Be able to keep the length in the spine and straighten the legs if you want to. Connecting back to the breath. And now we're going to bend that right knee again and come back up to our warrior two stance. Our hands are on our hips. We're going to prepare for half moon. So let's go ahead and bring our stance in about half of what it was. And take a look at your pinky side of your foot. I'll do this the first time with a block. If you're using a block, you can also just use your fingertips. So I'm at the pinky side of my foot, about 2 footprints in front, and I find that space on the ground. I bend in with my front knee and place my blocker fingertips here. My left hand is on my hip, spreading the toes wide, rooting in through all 4 corners of the feet. I begin to straighten that leg by engaging the thighs. My thigh is super strong. And then my back leg automatically lifts. This may be your half moon. Engaging the lifted thigh, flexing the foot, and then lifting that foot to about 90 degrees as if you're standing on the wall behind you. Toes are pointed away from the body. And then maybe on the inhale, you can peel that left arm up to the sky, reaching, opening the chest, lengthening the spine. If you fall out, just pop back in, building it back from the ground up. Your gaze can be to the floor, or you can be looking at the ceiling, or anywhere in between. The closer your gaze is to the ceiling, the more challenging. Finding expansive breath here. And then when you feel complete, bending that knee, Planting the back foot down, and then inhale, arms up for warrior one. Inhale here, opening the chest, lengthening the spine, and then exhale, hands down. We'll step back and do a vinyasa as we exhale to chaturanga, our belly. Inhale up to a back bend of your choice, and then exhale, downward dog. Very good. So take a moment here, noticing the difference between the left and right sides. And we'll continue on to the other side. So inhale the left leg up and back, toe is flexed, hips are square to the mat. Exhale, knee to nose, shifting forward towards plank. Inhale that foot up and back. And then exhale, knee to nose, just passing through as we plant that foot down. The back right foot heel comes down. Spreading the toes, rooting in, and coming up to our warrior two. The back foot, the blade edge of the foot is in line with the short edge of the mat. Again, our spine is nice and tall, shoulders stacked over hips, and we're sinking into that front leg, nice and deep, knee over ankle. You may need to widen your stance to get there. Arms are parallel to the floor, and shoulder blades are squeezing together. Arms are strong. If someone were to come and put their finger here, I'd want to be able to try to pinch it with my shoulder blades. Our gaze is over the front hand, focusing on a single fingernail maybe. And as you exhale, sinking into that front knee, flipping that front left hand, high five the wall behind you as the left hand slides, or the right hand slides down the back of the leg. Take a few rounds of breath here, finding expansion in the left side body, and release back to center. Inhale, straighten that front leg, nice and strong, engaging both thighs, rooting in through both feet, and then exhale, reaching as far as you can, and then allowing that hand to find your shin, your ankle, or the mat as your right hand reaches towards the sky. Inhale, lengthening, remembering the head is an extension of the spine, keeping it in a straight line. And then exhale, touching the hands down around that front foot. Maybe putting a bend in that knee. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, folding. Again, if you're having a difficult time finding the floor, blocks are a great option here. Inhale, lengthen, and then exhale, folding over. Connecting back to your breath. And then bending that front knee again as you come up to your warrior two stance, hands on hips. And as we prepare for half moon pose, we'll bring our stance in about halfway. If you use a block, grab your block, and then take a look at the pinky side of your foot and about 2 footprints in front of that. Bending the knee, touching down with your fingertips are your block, rooting in through all 4 corners of the feet, straightening that leg as you engage both thighs. And your back leg automatically lifts up. This may be your half moon. You can flex that lifted foot, bring it to 90 degrees, as if you're standing on the wall behind you, toes pointed out. And then maybe even inhaling, peeling that right arm towards the ceiling for full expression. Inhale, lengthening the spine, opening the chest. Finding both strength and balance here. On your exhale, bending that knee, touching down, and inhale up to your warrior one. Hands overhead. And then exhale, touch down, and step back to downward dog. Pedal the feet. And take a few rounds of breath here. And on your next exhale, on the tiptoes, walk in about halfway and come to standing. We're going to find a wide-legged pose. So maybe long ways on your mat may be a good option here. Our feet are wider than our hips. Our toes are pointed straight ahead, and knees are in the same direction as the toes. Let's place our hands again on the top of our hips, pressing our hips down. We ground in through our feet. Inhale, lengthening the spine, opening the chest, finding that grounding energy from the earth. And then keeping a micro bend in the knee. We don't want to lock our knees out. We're going to exhale and slowly fold forward, stopping at a wide-legged half lift. From here, inhale, lengthen through the crown. And then exhale, folding all the way down. The hands may come to the shins, the thighs, maybe the fingertips are at the floor. Releasing the head, maybe shaking yes and no, and drawing the shoulder blades towards each other. And breathing. Nice deep breaths in and complete exhalations, expressing all the air out of the lungs. Walking the hands to the right foot, finding a stretch in the back of the right leg, and continuing to move with the breath, walking the hands through center to the left leg, maybe grabbing the left foot or the ankle, continuing to breathe and walking your hands back to the center. So from here, you can make your legs wider or narrow, whatever's comfortable for you. The wider your legs, the closer the floor is. So I'm going to take my right hand and place it directly in front of my face. Inhale, lengthen the spine. And on my next inhale, I'm going to peel the left hand up and reach for the ceiling for a nice twist here. So continue to lengthen on the inhales and twist on the exhales. Maybe that right hand finds the left foot for a bit more of a twist here. Taking a few rounds of breath here and releasing back to center. Placing the left hand in front of the face. Inhale, finding length in the spine. Exhale, shooting the tail out, opening the back of the legs. On the next inhale, peeling that right arm up to the ceiling, finding a twist. And if you did it on the other side, maybe finding the right ankle with the left hand for a deeper twist. Taking several rounds of breath here. And gently release back to center. Continuing to move with the breath. Putting a bend in the knees. Hands on hips. Shoulders, shoulder blades squeezing. Elbows squeezing towards each other. And on an inhale, slowly rise up to standing. And take a moment here to let all the blood flow back into the rest of the body. Okay. And from here, we're going to make our ways to our belly. Lengthening the legs nice and long and coming up to our elbows, palms facing the ground, elbows directly below the shoulders. And on an inhale, lengthening the spine out and then up for Sphinx pose. Again, there's a lot of space or creating space between the earlobes and the tops of the shoulders. The shoulder blades are squeezing towards each other. My toes are pointed, my thighs are engaged, my glutes are engaged. This is a very active pose here. Grounding in through the hands, the tops of the feet, the thighs, the belly. Taking a few breaths here. Lengthening the spine. And gently release down. Placing the hands below the shoulders. Finding that strong grip with all 10 finger pads, the tops of the palms, then the bottoms of the palms. And then inhale, pressing up, shoulder blades squeeze together for cobra. Lengthening the spine up, space between the earlobes and the shoulders. Nice back bend here. Again, my legs are engaged, toes are pointed, thighs engaged, glutes are squeezing, and gently release back down. So from here, maybe bending the left leg, reaching back, finding the top of the foot. If you can do that, maybe reaching the other arm out long, and on an inhale, kicking that foot into the hand, lifting the other hand for a half bow. Take a breath here, and gently release. And we'll try that on the other side, lengthening the other arm in front, bending the other leg, finding the top of the foot with that hand. And on an inhale, kicking that hand or kicking that foot into the hand creates a lift as we lift our front hand, breathing into this and gently release. So next, we're going to attempt a full bow where we do both of the legs at the same time. If that is not for you, you can maybe try lifting both of the hands in front as you lift the back legs, like you would in a locust pose. Both are very intense and they're very good for the back, creating strength in the low back. So, relaxing down on our mat, bending the knees, finding the tops of the foot, or maybe your arms are out straight, as well as the legs. And on the inhale, lifting. If you're in bow, your feet are kicking against both hands, creating a lift. If you're in superhero, your arms are lifted and your feet are lifted, maybe even your thighs. If you are in bow, you want to keep the knees towards each other. You don't want to spread open wide. And inhale, finding that bow. Maybe you feel your body rocking. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Good work. So let's come up, bringing our heels together, knees apart, sitting the tail on the heels, reaching the hands towards the opposite wall for child pose. Breathing into the back ribs, opening the lungs towards the back body, opening the heart towards the back body. And gently walking the hands up, bringing the ankles together to, well, actually, let's come back to our tabletop. And we're going to do a little bird dog while we're here. I'll walk you through it. Taking the left leg back on your toe. Inhale, lengthen the spine, remembering the head is part of the spine, creating a long line. And then maybe lifting the right arm. Breathing in here. If this is available, maybe on the next inhale, lift that left leg to create a nice long line of opposite hand to opposite foot. And gently release. Very good. We'll do the same thing on the other side, shooting the right leg back on the ball of the foot. Again, an inhale, lengthening the spine, remembering to bring the head up in line with the spine. Taking a few rounds of breath, connecting back to your breath as you move with it. Inhale, lifting that left arm, noticing how you're balancing on your opposite hand and knee, and then maybe lifting the right leg, foot is flexed, a long line of energy shooting from the fingertips of the left hand out the heel of the right foot. Breathing and gently release. Very good. So now we'll take our heels together to one side. It doesn't matter. We're just bringing our legs in front. And from here, we'll do some boat pose variations. So you can come back on your hands, fingertips pointed towards your feet, and lifting your legs. Or you can bring your hands out in front. We're just going to do some toe taps. Smoothing out the breath and just tapping the toe, taking turns between left and right. And again, bringing the hands behind you for added support. We want to make sure our spine is nice and long and not rounding out. And gently release. So let's take our legs straight out in front. And we'll do one nice long fold and stretch over. So inhale the arms up. Exhale, folding over the front of the legs, reaching straight ahead. Inhale, coming up, arms overhead. And then exhale, rolling down the spine, one vertebra at a time. And then inhaling, the arms long, the feet long, finding that stretch. Very good. So we'll gently come back up to a seated position to deer pose. So our right shin is parallel to the edge of the mat. Our left ankle is behind us. Our right arm is behind us like a kickstand, just to help us prop as we reach back. So inhale, reaching that left arm around and up, and then maybe even lifting the hips, opening the body, the ribs, the heart, and then exhale, release. And again, moving with your breath, inhale, up and lift, and then exhale, release. Finding your own cadence. It may be faster or slower. And we'll do one more round. And when you come back to your seated center, we'll switch off the legs for the other side. The left shin is parallel to the edge of the mat. The right ankle is behind us. The left hand is a kickstand behind us as we inhale, the right circling it around and up, opening the hips, taking up as much space as possible As you move with your breath, inhale, expansion, and then exhale, release. Opening the heart and the chest towards the sky. One more time. And then once you release, we'll meet back to center. And we're going to go into our pigeon pose. So we'll briefly start in tabletop. And then taking that right knee behind the right wrist. Maybe the shin is parallel to the short edge of your mat. If so, the foot is flexed. Maybe the shin is pointed down. If so, the top of the foot is on the mat. Lengthening that back left leg nice and long. And then inhale with the fingertips pressing up the front body. This is a nice hip opener here. If your shin is parallel to the mat, you want to make sure that that toe is flexed. If you feel like this hip is floating, grab a block and stick it underneath that right hip for the added support. You'll know it if you need it. It will feel very good there. And then maybe on your exhale, walking down to your elbows, lengthening the spine on the inhalations, and then exhale, sinking in a little bit more. And then walking our hands back up to center, taking the right hand towards the center, maybe bending that back leg and finding it with your hand for an added quad stretch here. Opening the chest, and then gently release. Planting the hands down, stepping that foot back, and then bringing the left knee behind the left wrist. Again, if the left shin is towards parallel of the short edge of the mat, the foot is flexed. If the leg is tucked in, the top of the foot is on the mat. Finding what works for your body and what's comfortable for you. Engaging that right leg, the thigh, shooting it back. And again, if you feel like your left hip is floating in space, we want to keep the hips square to the mat. So grab a block or pillow, and just stick it under that left hip to square up those hips to the mat. Inhale, lengthen the spine, coming up on the fingertips. If you have blocks here, this is a great use of your blocks to find that length in the spine. And then exhale, bringing the knees or the elbows to the mat maybe, lengthening the spine on the inhale and sinking in on the exhalation. Walking the hands back up. Left hand maybe towards the center as you bend the right foot, finding it with your hand, and for a quad stretch. If you want a deeper stretch, you can pivot the palm on the top of the toes. And gently release. And let's come to our backs for some nice supine twists. So lying on your back, left leg is straight, right leg is bent. The foot is on the left side of the left knee. And then allow the knee to just come to the left, maybe shifting the hips a few inches to the right to create space for that. Arms are at a T. And we're looking over our right shoulder as our legs are twisting to the left. Inhale, lengthen, and then exhale, sinking into the twist, trying to get that right shoulder on the ground. Breathing nice and smooth. And when that feels complete, release back to center, shifting the hips back to center, Lengthening the right leg, taking the left foot on the right side of the right knee as that knee goes to the right, shifting the hip slightly to the left to help with that twist. Gazing over the left shoulder, pressing the left shoulder towards the floor, and breathing, finding length on the inhalations and finding that deep twist on the exhalation. And when that feels complete, release your body back to center. We'll go into a happy baby. Knees are towards the armpits, feet pointed towards the ceilings. Maybe the hands grab the shins or the blade edge of the foot. Lengthening the spine, pressing the spine to the mat, all the way from the crown to the tail, the sacrum even pressing towards the mat. And then rocking left and right like a happy baby here. Finding any last moves you need before we go into our Shavasana. And bringing the feet down, feet wider than hips width apart, splayed open, palms wider than shoulders width apart, open to the ceiling. Maybe even lifting, finding a lift in our chest and squeezing the shoulder blades together to open the heart space. And just begin to notice the breath, relaxing from head to toe, closing the eyes, allowing your entire body to melt into your mat, releasing any tension in the scalp and hair, relaxing the ears, releasing the muscles in the eyes and behind the eye, relaxing the face, removing the tongue from the roof of your mouth if it's there, relaxing the front of the neck and the back of the neck, releasing the chest, the shoulders, relaxing the biceps, releasing the elbows, the forearms, the wrists, releasing any tension in the tops of the hands and the palms of the hands. Relaxing all 10 fingers. Exhale and allow the chest to relax and sink in a little bit more. Releasing the stomach and the back. Releasing any tension in the hips and pelvis, where the legs plug into the hips. Releasing the thighs, the tops of the thighs, the backs of the thighs. Relaxing the knee joints, the kneecaps, and the backs of the knee. Releasing any tension in the shin and the calves. And releasing the ankle joints, the tops of the feet, the arches of the feet. Releasing any tension in the toes. And just breathe. When you're ready, begin to wiggle your fingers and toes, rotating the wrists and the ankles. Maybe a nice long cat stretch with your hands above your head, your feet long, making your body as long as you can. And then bringing the knees towards the body as you roll to one side, using an arm as a pillow. And take a moment. You may stay lying down, or you can join me in easy pose or sitting up in a comfortable seat with your sit bones grounded into your mat. And as you come to a seated position, or if you're still lying down, bring your awareness back to the room and your breath. Take a moment to notice how you feel, keeping your eyes closed or gaze softened. And know that the seeds of love and compassion you've nurtured within yourself will continue to grow. Remember that each breath is an opportunity to open your heart a little wider and to share that light with those around you. Take this moment to honor the effort you have dedicated to yourself and your practice today. Let's inhale the hands up overhead, hands together. Exhale, hands to heart center. And one more cleansing inhalation together. Opening the chest. Exhale, chin to chest. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your practice today. Feel free to shoot me a message or let me know anything you'd like to see in class. I continue to teach these on Mondays. They're free of charge. You can sign up through Eventbrite or Humantics. And if you search for Karmic, aka free yoga class, it should pop up. Thanks.